Internet. Welcome to another season of Chai and Chill. I can't believe it's the fourth season. And joining me today on Chai and Chill is Sudesna Ghosh. She is also a fellow author and a fellow cat mom, which I'm so excited about. Yay! I love that mug. And my trusty storyteller mug is back with me. So, hi Sudeshna. Welcome to
Hi.
Chai and Chill.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, so I'm going to dive right into it. My first question to you is, what made you decide to become a writer?
Well, I guess it's because I grew up as a bookworm. I'm still a bookworm and an introvert. I've always preferred the company of books and now my ebook reader to human company. And so other than books and ebooks, most of my company is a few cat ladies, and I spend a lot of time with my friends' cats and my cats, neighborhood cats. So yeah, so I read a lot of books, even when I'm with the cats. Like they could be sleeping, but I'll be reading. So I grew up with that reading habit thanks to my mother because she reads a lot. And when I lived in the US, when I was there for my first 9 years, the public libraries were amazing. And I used to go there every weekend with my parents, and I would just sit in the children's section and like I'd want to like read them all. And I'd come out with a huge stack, finish it all in like a day and be like, I want to go again. So the whole surrounded by books and all kinds of books, fiction, nonfiction, being surrounded by people who are, like so focused on reading. And of course, back then there were no cell phones. So I sort of grew up loving that environment. And, it's also like a place where you're actually supposed to be quiet. So there's no like compulsion to socialize, which is amazing. So I'm like, I can be quiet, I can think what I want to think, and I can read amazing stories. So yeah, so it started from that. And I realized in elementary school, again, in the US, when the teacher asked me to read out a short story that I'd written, I have not felt so confident doing anything else. Even now, when I talk about writing, about my books, or when I write a short story, I feel like it comes naturally. Nothing else has ever come to me naturally. And I think I've always wanted to be a writer because I want to live in the world of books. So books, stories, it's kind of living outside reality for most of the time.
Yeah. So, well, we got the story of why you started writing. What about the genres? I know that you write romance stories and then a lot of children's stories as well. So how did you narrow down that these are the genres that I would like to stay in and I would like to explore?
Well, I started my publishing career with short stories in Telekits, which was a supplement with the Anandabaja Potrika group. And for other magazines like the children's magazine, Gokulam, then I wrote a couple of them which were converted to comics in Tinkle. So that's how I started. And I guess, okay, so I'm an old soul, but then there's this little kid in me too, who loves children's books and still reads children's books often. So I enjoyed writing the stories. And because I was working with in the feature section where with the children's supplement, among others. I was very happy when my editor said that, yeah, sure, take a chance and, write one. So that's how I got into it. Romance came, then came nonfiction. After I stopped my full-time journalism job, I was trying to figure out how to pitch and how to get a publisher, and which is, very difficult. It was 2012. Then I got commissioned to write 2 nonfiction books for Harlequin, who had just set up their Indian office. So the first one was about teen daughters and understanding them, parenting them. So I studied psychology in college, and I love, studying relationships and sociology and emotions, and human behavior. So that book started my book publishing career. And so in the second book, it was with HarperCollins. They took over. It was for people interested in careers in TV news. So that took a lot of research. I spoke to lots of people. And then after that, I was kind of like, oh God, if I write nonfiction, I have to talk to lots of people. I don't know how much to do that the rest of my life. So then I continued writing for kids, and then I don't know how. Yes, Harlequin, of course, they specialize in romances. So when I got my deal with Harlequin, I started interacting with their romance authors, and interacting, they became friends. And then I was like, I'm surrounded by friends who are all writing romance. And I was like, maybe I should try writing one myself. So yeah, that's how it started with my Singapore fling. Yeah, I guess I think I'm in every like there my character and my thinking. And I like my heroes. And everyone, all my protagonists are over 30. And yeah, in one case, she's over 40. And I like that because I'm in my 30s, and I look around me, and even though I'm single and not ready to mingle really, there are lots of women who, fall in love when they're almost 40, 50. And look at Nina Gupta, it's not just celebrities even around me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, oh, I've become 30 something. That's when it hit me that, oh, I don't like reading only about 20 something people, they're so young and adventurous, and they, they're just starting up their lives and they're falling in love. And I'm like, no. So yeah, so that's how I started writing romance. And I have written some romantic short stories for a couple of papers and magazines as well. And two of them commissioned by 2 novellas, Juggernaut Books, for Valentine's Week last year. So yeah, I have fun writing because okay, so as someone who has struggled with depression, I make my books happy. Other than the ending, somehow I make sure people laugh too when they're reading it. So even if it's kind of like a quirky sense of humor, so yeah.
That is really nice. That they say we do read books to escape real life. I read a lot of young adult books, and people keep saying you're an adult, you shouldn't. And I keep telling them that I like it. It's my escape from reality. If you don't like it, don't tell me what to.
Yeah, like read what brings you joy,
Yeah.
so
And that's what I keep saying, that life is hard enough. Why do I have to go through that hardship in the books as well? I want the books to be a place I am happy. Like that was
yeah.
one of the reasons I got inspired to write Backyard Tales. It was just supposed to be a happy place. Okay, so that is interesting. Your entire journey of how you became, you were a full-time journalist, and after that you got to become a writer and then spend time with your cats and write. So I'm going to go a little off track and ask you, has your cats ever inspired you to write? Because I do know that you do have a series where the cats play a huge role.
Yeah, I think most of my books do have cats in them. Let's see. Yeah, like my A Perfect New York Christmas has a cat. Then Crazy Cat Lady Finds Love has a cat. No, several cat ladies.
Yeah.
And a cat and cats in plural. And there's The Adventures of Ernie Fish, which I don't call a children's book. I think it's humor for cat lovers of all ages. It's about two cats, Garby and Giri, and their owner, basically, who is a cat expert called Ernie Fish. So this was one of the first very catty stories I wrote, inspired by my two late cats. They were my first two cats, actually. And Garby and Giri was actually called Pushan Giri. Don't ask me how. So so even if you read like The Adventures of Ernie Fish, like their personalities, it's exactly like my Giri and Garby had, like one of them kept on falling asleep everywhere. And, like even if there was like an urgency, he wouldn't move. He'd just be like, let me sleep. Then the other one would be like, hey, food. And, and one would like whack the other's tail, and the other would like look around like, oh, what hit me? So yeah, they definitely inspired several stories, and I'm sure there will be more.
Oh, yes. That's one thing that I've seen with cats. You are never uninspired. Every time I feel, oh, maybe the story is over, they will do something. I was like, oh, that could be a story.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and the joys that it brought us. I think I messaged you a few days ago, and I told you I did not know the joys it brings to know that you are in control of everything. So how did that journey come about for you, like discovering KDP?
Okay, well, first, I was submitting my Singapore fling, and the first fiction I self-published, Can a Fat Girl Get a First Kiss, which was sort of like a therapeutic exercise for me, because it's based on my own experiences of body shaming and body image issues in my school days.
Mhm.
So I submitted, and then an agent said, okay, I'll take it. And she sent me a draft contract, and then she disappeared.
Yeah, it's
And
very common.
yeah, and at that time, I had severe anxiety. So there were like, I didn't sleep for months, kept on checking my email, and like, and I was new to publishing. So at that point, it felt like my world had collapsed. But then I realized that, like, okay, first, okay, Sundari Venkatraman is like, she's the main inspiration to get into KDP. She is very prolific, and a lot of what I picked up and other authors have picked up here in India is from her. Yeah, like one is, in the early days, we learned how she markets her books and how it's in KDP, it's pretty good if you can publish more consistently. Whereas traditional publishing, you can't. I mean, even if they take your book, they'll publish maybe the second one after a year and a half or 2 years. So with that, that's one good thing because, yeah, I mean, call it having control over everything, or avoiding gatekeepers. I, like I was like, okay, let me try. So then I did 2017. I self-published Can I Fat Girl Get a First Kiss? And I failed miserably the first couple of years because I was a newbie and had no effort in social media marketing or any kind of marketing. So I think I spent the last few years, I spend as much time reading and writing as I do trying to keep up to date about social media marketing techniques. And, like there's something new every day. Yeah, I mean, there's been a big learning curve. Sometimes I regret not like being proactive earlier, but then I'm like, okay, it happens. I mean, better late than never. So
yeah, that's what I keep getting told as well. It's okay, at least you learned now, it's fine. For me, the journey to self-publishing and to KDP has been so recent. It's been as recent as this year in May. because I have because I have always been traditionally published, or I've been very involved in, because I started my career in the digital wing of a publishing house. So I've always been on the other side where I used to market books. So it's very difficult for me to let go and, give off control to somebody else to market my books. You know how that is. Like right now, my book is with a publisher, and I know I drive the poor girl crazy because I ask her for updates and she's like, we will release it. Give us some time. And like, this is it. That's the only series I'm ever going to traditionally publish because I am done. I like the control KDP gives to its authors.
Yeah, definitely. And now in India, Notion Press has gone big on print on demand.
Yeah.
That's also something that, I mean, happened very recently. Like earlier, I think they would have these big packages where authors would have to pay a ton, but this is like print on demand, straight royalties, depending on how many copies people buy. So there's a lot of I mean, with KDP being, I think, the main the best marketplace for us to sell our books in India, Notion Press, and I think there'll be more. And it's like, why sit there and like, anxious or not, why sit there and wait to hear back when you can actually like write maybe 3-4 novellas a year, and you can make pretty covers using Canva. And like, see, even with a traditional trad publisher, you have to do your personal branding and marketing.
Yeah, so true.
And now you can see that, I mean, it's like they want somebody who already has a huge audience. So that's why we have best-selling authors like Karan Johar, Shiva Shetty, and because they're guaranteed a big audience for the book. So yeah, but with us, people who like start as writers, we have to build our brand, and no publishing house will do that for you. And social media marketing. I haven't invested in ads in a long time, but many authors do. Many authors invest in blog tours, but it's not just the self-published authors who are investing in these things. It's even the trad authors, because you have to get the word out. And like you can't have like a event at a 5-star hotel and have like 100 celebrities show up and buy 100 copies each. And so we have to be practical, and that's why I think it's good that KDP gives you control and freedom, and you still have to focus on your image building, so which you would have to do anyways. So yeah, at least you can schedule your own publishing schedule. And I mean, and sometimes I've seen some covers which I really don't like, or say same genre, most of the covers look the same. So I'm like, yeah, I can use Canva and make something which looks much cuter. So
That is, well, I did create those cat covers with Canva. It was so cute. I fell in love with that own cover, and a lot of people ask me that, did you pay someone to do it? I'm like, no, I just figured it out. That was,
yeah.
it's sometimes they do come out really good. Sometimes you do realize that, okay, maybe I should find a professional. But the thing is, the advantage of working in an agency, you always make friends who are ready to return favors and have
Yeah.
viewers. So it's a little bit of a bata thing, which I find exciting. Yes, it's cute. All right. Okay. So I think I'm almost out of questions except the last one. What are you currently reading? I know I'm going to now watch Sudesna go. Why did she have to ask me that? I read. Do you like? Are you one book at a time, or do you just like start 5 books and then?
One at a time. I'm not a good multitasker. So I was just rereading a children's book 2 days ago by Ruskin Bond. It's an illustrated version called Getting Granny's Glasses. So I wrote an Insta post about it, and I mean, what we were just talking about, that I don't think there should be any rules about who can read what or who should read what. Whatever you enjoy, and whatever genre, it's, I mean, enjoy. So I was reading it, and every time I read or reread the children's books I have, or pick up new ones, like my friend Leslie D. Biswas, she writes for children, and she published a few books with Duckbill, and she's an animal lover and nature lover, and her stories are about a little girl and compassion for animals and nature. These things come out in all her stories. So yeah, it's children's books, yeah, but whatever, I can relate. If you can relate to a book, it doesn't matter, which year it was written or who wrote it, man or woman, which category it's shelved in, doesn't matter. So yeah, I read that, and I bought a book yesterday because I just saw it and I was I go to the bookstore a lot. So coffee shops, bookstores, and pet supplies shop. Animal Planet particularly, and online shopping again for books, mainly Kindle books now because I'm out of space, and for cat toys and cat food. Okay, so I was in the bookstore for like the 10th time this month, and I noticed this book. Can you see it?
Yes.
I came upon a lighthouse. So okay, so I always knew that Mr. Ratan Tata is compassionate towards stray dogs, and I knew that he does have a love for homeless dogs and does do a lot for them. But this is a book by Shantanu Naidu, who actually came to know Mr. Tata through their shared love for homeless animals. And I read the blurb and I was like, okay, I can't not get this book. So yeah, this is something I'm going to start reading today, hopefully tonight.
Oh, I think I saw this boy's story. It was covered by Humans of Bombay. Like he then later on became his
Yeah.
assistant, I believe.
Oh yes, yes.
This has been one of the best and chill meetings that I have ever had. Thank you so much for
Oh,
joining us. And thank
yeah, fun. Thank you.
to the cats for, I'm sorry that Felix and Maui did not show up, but I will send you a video of them sleeping in the bed. But this has been an awesome kickoff to season 4. So thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you. And let me know when it's up on YouTube.
Absolutely. I'll send it to you first.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.